संबुद्धस्स नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्स नमो तस्सा भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्स इतिपिसो भगवारहं सम्मा संबुद्धो विद्याचरण संपन्नो सुगतो लोकविदु अनुत्तरो पुरिसदम्म सारथि सत्ता देव मनुष्यानां बुद्धो भगवाति नमो तस्स सम्मा संबुद्धस्स ये च बुद्धा अतीता च ये च बुद्धा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये बुद्धा अहं वन्दामि सब्बदा नत्ति मे शरणं गण्यं बुद्धो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमङ्गेन वन्देऽहं पादपंसो वरुत्तमं बुद्धेयो कलितो दोषो बुद्धो कमतु तं मम बुद्धं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि स्वाकातो भगवता धम्मो संदिटीको अकालिको एहि पस्सिको अपनायको पच्चत्तं वेदितव्यो विन्नुहीति नमो तस्स नियानिकस्स धम्मस्सा ये च धम्मा अतीता च ये च धम्मा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये धम्मा अहं वन्दामि सब्बदा नत्ति मे शरणं गण्यं धम्मो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमंगेन वन्देऽहं धम्मं जति विदुत्तमं धम्मेयो कलितो दोषो धम्मो कमतु तं मम धम्मं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि सुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो उजुपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो न्यायपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो सामीचिपटिपन्नो भगवतो सावकसंगो यदिदं चत्तारि पुरिसयुगानि अट्टपुरिसपुग्गला एषा भगवतो सावकसंगो आहुनेयो पाहुनेयो दक्किनेयो अंजलिकरणीयो अनुत्तरं पुण्यकेतं लोकस्साति नमो तस्स अट्ट अर्य पुग्गला महासंगसा ये च संगा अतीता च ये च संगा अनागता पच्चुपन्ना च ये संगा अहं वन्दामि सब्बदा नत्ति मे शरणं गण्यं संघो मे शरणं वरं ये तेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु मे जयमङ्गलम् उत्तमङ्गेन वन्देऽहं संगं च विदुत्तमं संगेयो कलितो दोषो संगो कमतु तं मम संगं यावनिब्बानपर्यन्तं शरणं गच्छामि विपट्टि पटिवाहाय सब्ब संपत्ति सिद्धिया सब्ब दुःखं विलासाय सब्ब भयं सब्ब रोगं विनाशाय भवेदीर्घायुकदायक सब्ब लोगं हितत्ताय परित्तं बनामहे समन्ता चक्रवालेषु अत्र गच्छन्तु देवता सद्धम्मं मुनिराजस्सा सुनन्तु सग्गमोक्तदं धम्मसवන कालो अयं बदन्ता धम्मसवන कालो अयं बदन्ता परित्तसवන कालो अयं बदन्ता नमो तस्स भगवतो अरहतो सम्मा संबुद्धस्सा एवं मे सुतं एकं समयं भगवा सावतियं विहरति जेतवने अनाथपिण्डिकस्य आरामे अथको भगवा पुब्बन्न समयं निवासे त्वा पट्टचीवरमादाय सावत्तिं पिण्डाय पावीसि तेन कोपन समयेन अग्गिकभारद्वाजस्य ब्राह्मणस्य निवेशने अग्गिपज्जलितो होति आहुति पग्गहिता अतको भगवा सावतीयं सपधानं पिण्डाय चरमानो येन अग्गिकभारद्वाजस्य ब्राह्मणस्य निवेशनं तेनुपसंकमि अद्दसाको अग्गिकभारद्वाजो ब्राह्मणो भगवन्तं दूरतो वा आगच्छन्तं दिस्वाना भगवन्तं एतदवोचा तत्रेव मुण्डका तत्रेव समणका तत्रेव वसलका तिट्टाहीति एवं गुत्ते भगवा अग्गिकभारद्वाजं ब्राह्मणं एतदवोचा जानासि पनत्वं ब्राह्मणा वसलं वा वसलकरणे वा दम्मेति नाक्वाहं भो गौतमा जानामि वसलं वा वसलकरणे वा दम्मे साधु मे भवं गौतमो तथा दम्मं देशे तु यथा हं जानेयं वसलं वा वसलकरणे वा दम्मेति तेन हि ब्राह्मणा शुणाहि साधुकं मनसि करोहि भाषिष्यामीति एवं भवति को अग्गिकभारद्वाजो ब्राह्मणो भगवतो पच्चसोऽसि भगवा एतदवोचा कोदनो उपनाहि च पापमक्खी चयो नरो विपन्नदिट्टि मायावी थम जन्यावसलो इति एकजं वा द्विजं वापि योदपानं विहिंसति यस्सपाने दयानत्ति थम जन्यावसलो इति योहन्ति परिरुन्धन्ति घामानि निगमानि च निग्गाहको समन्यातो थम जन्यावसलो इति घामे वा यदि वारण्ये यंपरे संगममायितं तय्या अदिन्नमादेति थम जन्यावसलो इति यो हवे इणमादाया चुज्जमानो पलायति नहि ते इणमतीति तमजन्यावसलो इति यो वे किंचिक् कम्यता पंतस्मिन् वजन्तं जनं हन्त्वा किंचिक् कमादेति तमजन्यावसलो इति अत्तहेतु पराहेतु धनाहेतु चयो नरो सखिपुत्तो मुसा ब्रूति तमजन्यावसलो इति यो न्यातीनं सकीनं वा धारेषु पटिदिस्सति साहसा संपियेन वा थमजन्यावसलो इति यो मातरं पितरं वा जिन्नकं गतयोब्बनं बहु सन्तो न भरति तंजन्यावसलो इति यो मातरं पितरं वा मातरं भगिनीं ससुं हन्ति रोसेति वाचाया तंजन्यावसलो इति यो अत्तं कुच्चितो सन्तो अनत्तमनुशासति पठिच्छन्नेन मन्तेति तमजन्यावसलो इति यो कत्वा पापकं कम्मं यो मं जन्नेति इच्छति यो पठिच्छन्न कम्मन्तो तमजन्यावसलो इति यो वे परकुलं गन्त्वा बुद्ध्वा न शुचिभोजनं आगतं न पठिजु पूजेति तमजन्यावसलो इति यो ब्राह्मणं समणं वा अन्यं वापि वणिब्बकं मूसावादेन वञ्चेति तमजन्यावसलो इति यो ब्राह्मणं समणं वा बद्धकाले उपत्थिते रोसेति वाचाना च देति तमजन्यावसलो इति असतं योदा पब्रूति मोहेना पलिगुन्तितो किंचिक्कं विजिगीसानो तमजन्यावसलो इति यो छत्तानं समुक्तं से परे च मवजानाति निहीनो सेनमानेन तमजन्यावसलो इति रोसको कदरियो च पापिच्चो मच्चरी सतो अहिरिको अनत्तापि अनत्तप्पि तमजन्यावसलो इति यो बुद्धं परिभासति अथवा तस्य सावकं परिभाजं गहत्तं वा तमजन्यावसलो इति यो वे अनरहं संतो अरहं पटिजानाति चोरो सब्रह्म के लोके येसो को वसलाधमो येते को वसला उत्ता मया येते पकासिता नाजच्चा वसलो होति नाजच्चा होति ब्राह्मणो कम्मुणा वसलो होति कम्मुणा होति ब्राह्मणो तदमिना जानाथा यथा मेदं निदर्शनं चंडालपुत्तो सोपाको मातंगो इति विस्तुतो सोयसं परमं पत्तो मातंगोयं सुदुर्लभम् आगच्छुं तस्सुपत्तानं कत्तिया ब्राह्मणा बहु सो देवयानं अभिर्यः विरजं सो महापथं कामरागं विराजत्वा ब्रह्मलोकूपगो अहु नानं जाति निवारेसि ब्रह्मलोकूपपत्तिया अज्जाय कुले जाता ब्राह्मणा मंतबंधवा ते च पापेषु कम्मेषु अभिन्हामुपदिस्तरे वित्ते वदं मेघारय्य संपराये च दुर्गति नने जाति निवारेति दुर्गत्यागरहाय वा नाजच्चा वसलो होति नाजच्चा होति ब्राह्मणो कम्मुणा वसला होति कम्मुणा होति ब्राह्मणोति एवं गुत्ते अग्गिक भारद्वाजो ब्राह्मणो भगवन्तं एतदवोचा अभिक्खन्तं भो गौतमा अभिक्खन्तं भो गौतमा निकुज्जितं वा कुज्जय्या पठिच्छन्नं वा विवरय्या मूलस्य वा मग्गं आचिक्यय्या अंधकारे वा तेलपज्जोतं धारय्या चक्षुमन्तो रूपाणि दक्खन्तीति एवमेवं गोथा गौतमेन अनेक पर्यायेन धम्मोपकाशितो येषाहं भवन्तं गौतमं शरणं गच्छामि धम्मं च भिक्खु संगं च उपासकं मं भवन् गौतमो धारयतु अज्जतज्ञे पाणुपेतं शरणं गतन्ति एतेन सच्चवज्जेन सोतिनो होतु सब्बदा एतेन सच्चवज्जेन होतु नो जय मंगलं एतेन सच्चवज्जेन पातु नो रत्नत्रयं सब्बित्यो विवर्जन्तु सब्बरोगो विनश्यतु माते भवत्वन्तरायो सुखी दीर्घायुको भवतु सब्बमङ्गलं रक्षन्तु सब्बदेवता सब्बबुद्धानुभावेन सब्बधम्मानुभावेन सब्बसङ्गानुभावेन सदा स्वस्ति भवन्तु ते। Imina punyakam hena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yavan nibbana pattiya idang me punyakamang asavakayang vahang hotu sabbadukta pamucchatu nibbana sampachayo hotu. Sadhu. Sadhu. Okay, so this today's discourse is this chanting is Vasala Sutta. This is also a protective chanting. Protective chanting means by remembering this, by chanting this sutta, by say contemplating the meaning of this discourse. So one will develop a lot of protection from within and also protection from without, from outside also. That's why they're called protective chanting. So what we chant in the beginning of all these Dhamma talks, these Dhamma discourses, like your Karniya Metta Sutta. So remembering the qualities, the greatness of loving kindness, of Metta. Then Ratana Sutta, remembering the qualities of the three Ratanas, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. That also purifies us from within, and that very purity, and that very understanding, very wisdom, and that very freedom from within, that gives us protection. And also from outside, because all these chanting, whether it is Ratana Sutta, or Metta Sutta, or this say Mahamangala Sutta, Attavisati Buddha Vandana, Kanda Paritta, so many. There are nearly some 30 suttas. Generally, they call them as protective chantings. In some Buddhist countries, there may be some 100, 150 these chants, these discourses. They are considered as the protective chantings. Because from within, of course, all teachings of Buddha, it will give us some kind of purity, some kind of mental purification, which definitely gives us the protection. But in addition to that, there are some sutras like these sutras, this the Karaniya Metta Sutta, this Ratana Sutta, all these some 30 sutras that we have seen in our, in generally in India, some 30 sutras they have selected as protective chanting. And in some Buddhist countries, let us say some 150 sutras are there. In addition to that inner purification, so there will be some kind of, say, instruction to the beings around you, some kind of, say, instructions to the negative forces to go away from that place, and some kind of instructions to the positive forces to come and be there in that place. So that is the reason why they are called the protective chantings, from within and also from without. There is a protection from within because it has an influence, some impact on your thinking, on your right view, on your mind purification. Thereby they protect you. In addition to that, it will have some instructions, some impact, some vibrations to the beings, to the forces around you. If they are negative forces, they just change their say thinking, and that negativity becomes positivity. And there is an invitation for the positive forces in all these chantings, these protective chantings. Because of that reason, there is protection from within, protection from without, protection from the outside forces also. Because of these reasons, they are called protective chantings. So this Vasala Sutta that we have chanted today, this is also a protective chant. It gives protection from within and protection to some extent from outside also. Within protection is very, very important. Protection that you gain from your own mind purification is very important. In addition to that, there will be protection from outside, because the people who are going to listen to these are other beings, whether they're visible or not visible. Those beings also will learn the right to learn this, say, the techniques of mind purification, or how to evolve, how to say revoke the inner purification by proper thinking, by proper actions. That kind of right knowledge You can see in all these protective chanting. So thereby it protects the people who are chanting this, and also the people who are listening this, they too will be protected, and that entire place will be protected, because there is right knowledge that is creating right vibrations, right say forces, right energy into the system, and that energy, that right energy, it protects the people who are chanting this, people who are listening this, and also other invisible beings also who are listening this. They too will be protected. Hmm? So that's all. See, everything is rooted in the right knowledge and right view. That's what is Dhamma. When there is Dhamma in a place, in a region, means that the people are imbibing the right knowledge, the right view, and accordingly they are molding their lives. Accordingly, they are tuning they're reforming, they're tuning their lives, and they are deriving the true happiness, happiness for themselves and also happiness for the people around them. So because of that reason, so that place is called a Dhammic place. It's a place with a lot of Dhamma. Dhamma is nothing but this right knowledge zone, which creates right freedom, right happiness, right wisdom, right harmony. So that kind of rightness in almost all aspects of life can be brought about by this right knowledge. And that is what is the Dhamma. That is what is the teachings of the enlightened ones, the teachings of the Buddhas, Supreme Buddhas. So coming to this this Vasala Sutta. What is this Vasala Sutta? How it is say relevant to develop right view? What is the understanding that we are going to gain by discussing this? So these things we will see. So now Vasala means like say, of course, in ancient India also, of course, all over the world, there's a lot of some kind of discrimination. People used to think they are superior, some other people are inferior. I am superior, you are inferior, or you are superior. That kind of judging, that kind of say comparing is very much there everywhere all over the world. Not only in present world, the past world, in the future. In the past, when this being started, not just human beings, even the divine beings, even the say lower beings like animals, or say asuras, demons, or the ghosts, or the any being, even in the hellish beings, human beings, the divine beings also. There are some superior divine beings, inferior divine beings, superior Brahmas, inferior Brahmas. So when all this existence, on all this samsara, living world, there is always discrimination, there is always comparison, there is always superiority, inferiority. But in the human society, in some societies, in some communities, they make it too rigid. And they make it based on so many things. Based on wealth, they consider somebody is superior, somebody is inferior. Based on knowledge, some people, in some communities, they consider somebody as superior and somebody as inferior. Based on their, say, aspirations in the life. Based on the aspirations in the life also, some people consider a set of people as superior and other people as inferior. There are so many say, parameters to decide who is inferior, who is superior in different societies, in different say, time periods. In India, there is one basis to compare somebody as superior and somebody is inferior. Even from the time of Buddha, of course, even before that, and even today also, it is there to some extent. not to maybe great extent, it is still there. That is based on the birth. Based on the birth also, people used to brand somebody is inferior, somebody is superior. So Buddhas again, they arise to destroy this wrong view of who is superior, who is inferior based on the birth. We can't fix them as inferior because he is born in one family or one community or one caste or one class or in one region. You can't fix him. That is not the way of a superior human society. If so human society is progressing, one should not brand oneself as inferior or superior based on their birth. Let us say if somebody is superior based on their birth, then they become egoistic, then they become proud, and they don't progress, they don't develop their mind, they don't tune their mind based on right view, based on Dhamma, and they don't develop their materialistic life or also spiritual life. They will become proud and they will go down, they will become inferior, more and more inferior. And if somebody is, say, branded as inferior because of his inferior birth, let us say, then again you are not allowing him to grow as a human being. You are simply fixing him as inferior and you are not allowing him to grow in different facets of the human say progress. It's again injustice. In both the ways, it is injustice. For the superior, the so-called superior birth people also, they perish. They will be spoiled because of their ego and arrogance. And the inferior birth people also, the people who take birth, the inferior, the so-called inferior births, they also will not get the, say, opportunities, and they will also not grow. So to break this kind of rigidness, again, the Buddhas, they teach this right view, this Dhamma, and to work on the mind and to break these shackles of inferiority and superiority based on the birth and giving freeness, giving equal opportunity for everyone to develop their mind. That is one of the missions of Buddha. So this is also this sutra, also this Vasala Sutra. It's called Vasala Sutta. So in this Vasala means like outcast, like inferior. This kind of inferiority and what is superiority, this clarity that Buddha gives to one arrogant, say, priest or one arrogant Brahmin priest. And of course, he learns the lesson and he becomes quite humble. And of course, this becomes lesson for millions of people during that time and even after that time also. Simply don't brand somebody as inferior, somebody as superior based on their birth. And again, Buddha gives the clarity about what are the superior virtues, superior qualities of a human being. What are the inferior virtues, inferior vices, or inferior qualities of a human being? That clarity also Buddha gives. So that people who want to progress, who want to develop, who want to grow themselves, both spiritually and also in the society, they can make use of these qualities, they can make use of these instructions, and they can progress for both. Those who are thinking that they are having superior birth, those who are thinking that they are having inferior birth. For both these groups, Buddha has given the qualities as the parameters, as the indicators on which one should work and one should develop their, their mind, and based on the development of the mind, their speech, their actions. Those indicators, those say instructions Buddha gives in this Vasala Sutta to clearly define, to clearly identify who is an inferior person, who is a superior person, how to identify inferior people, how to identify superior people, what are the qualities that one should look for superiority, one should look for inferiority. That kind of clarity you can get in this Vasala Sutta. There is one Jataka tale where there was a fight between one elephant, one monkey, and one small bird. There was one plant, one, one tree, one big banyan tree, must be banyan tree. So all these three animals, they used to come and take shelter under this banyan tree. The elephant, the bird, and the monkey. And the elephant, because of its size, it used to think that it is superior. And the monkey, of course, it is relatively having lesser size, or it is less inferior. And this bird is very, very small. So the other two animals used to treat this bird as very inferior. And they were taking protection under the tree. And this elephant used to say, see, I'm very big. When this tree was very small, so I used to cross over, I used to go over this tree, this small plant. So the leaves used to touch, the top leaves used to touch my belly. So from that time, I know this banyan tree. That's why this tree belongs to me. In that way, it used to show its proudness. There was an argument between these three animals. And the monkey used to say, before that also I used to see this plant, before that small plant that you have seen, some 6 feet or 10 feet plant, when the plant was just 1 foot or even less than 1 foot. From that time I have seen this plant. That's why I am more senior to you. I am more senior, and in that way it used to show its superiority, this monkey. Then the bird says, actually, it is me who brought this seed of this banyan tree. After eating some banyan fruits in some other tree, and then I just came here and I just in the say in the say, so I only threw this seed here, and that seed has become the plant now. So in that way, the very origin of that plant is because of this bird. So it is not the size that matters. It is from what time it is in association with that plant. So that depends on that. Actually, that decides who has more, uh, right over that tree, who is supposed to say own the tree, or who is having the right over the tree. So that depends upon how much say they have done to the tree, and who has seen that tree from the very origin. So then all the three animals decide that it is the bird has the more right over the tree, more authority over the tree. That way all the three animals decide. The same way, it is not the size of the thing, it is not the power. It is, that's what Buddha says even to the followers of all the Buddhists, all the followers. One who starts learning right view at the earliest stage and become a part of the Buddha's mission. So he is senior. There the age will not count. The person at the age of 75, he comes to Buddha's refuge. And if there is a young boy of 5 years or 10 years, then Buddha considers a 10 years boy who is learning right view, who has come, who has understood the importance of Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha, understood the importance of mind purification and mind liberation. He is superior, he is senior than the person who came at the age of 75, started thinking about liberation, started thinking about mind purification and mind liberation and Nibbana at the age of 75. He has to listen to the person, the boy who is 5 years or 10 years of age, because he is into this path of Nibbana, path of liberation, path of mind purification at the earliest stage. The Buddha gives importance to this aspect of human thinking. No other aspect is the parameter in the Buddha's teachings or in this Buddha's dispensation to decide somebody as superior or somebody as inferior. Not his caste, not his age, not his education, not his birth, not his say his appearance, not his size, not his gender, his or her gender. It is the inclination at which a person develops towards Nibbana. And the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, they represent Nibbana, they represent mind purification and mind liberation. If a person develops inclination towards this, the ultimate goal of life, at the say very young age, then he is a senior person than a person like animals, like bulls, like donkeys. They live hundreds of years, let us say 50 years, 60 years. The same way, some people, they simply live and they say, I'm senior, I'm old. So what is the use? Such people are simply useless because they have not understood about the importance of the purpose of human life, the ultimate goal of human life. Mana usati iti manusya, the very reason for calling somebody as a manusya, one who works on the mind, develops the mind, liberates the mind, purifies the mind. He is a manusya. That very purpose, that very meaning he has not understood. Then such a person is definitely an inferior person. When compared to even a young boy, whether he is a poor boy or rich boy, so he has understood the purpose and he is superior, he is senior. That's what Buddha says in that Jataka story. And in many lives, he has taken birth in the inferior castes or inferior families, the so-called inferior families. During the time of Buddha, outcast, that means like they are not Brahmins, they are not Kshatriyas, they are not Vaishyas, Sudras, very poor, very wretched families. There is no respect. In such families also Buddha used to take birth when he was Bodhisattva. In one of the lives he was Matanga. He takes birth in such a family, such a house. And that time, of course, after all, he is a Bodhisattva. And one girl, she insulted him. And he went for a hunger strike. And she made her to apologize him. And then she marries him. And then she feels very bad because she was a Vaishya. She feels very bad because many people used to disrespect her. Your husband is very poor, very wretched, he is outcast, you married him. That way, many people used to disrespect her. And when she was feeling bad, then this Matanga, after all, he is Bodhisattva. And he consoles her and he says her, see, your husband, that is Bodhisattva himself, Matanga, he is more powerful than any of these people who are talking, who are insulting you. They worship Brahma, and I myself is Brahma. I can become Brahma. In that way, he starts meditation and he becomes Brahma. And with his Brahmic power, he bestows so many boons to his family, to his wife, and also to his community, to his region. And then everybody started worshipping his wife also. In that way, by birth, you can't decide somebody as Brahma or outcast. It is with one's sadhana, one's aspirations, one's right knowledge, one should decide how one is developing his mind with the right knowledge, in the mind, in the right mind purification. That should decide a person as a superior person or an inferior person. So in that way, Buddha has taught the importance of the actions, the kamma, the right inspiration, the right intentions, the right say actions, the right speech, that will decide a person based on this aspiration of mind purification and mind liberation. If that is there in a person, whether he is from an inferior caste or a superior caste, or superior birth or inferior birth, so that should decide, that should determine one's superiority or one's inferiority. In that way, Buddha teaches this loss of superiority, loss of inferiority, the principles of superiority, the principles of inferiority to this Brahmin also. So that is what is there in this Vasala Sutta. And what is this Vasala Sutta? Once Lord Buddha was going for his alms round. Alms round means like you are, say, collecting alms, collecting bhiksha from the householders. At that time, what happened? So I'll just explain word by word so that you will be more clear and it will be more authoritative. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living near Savatthi at Jetavana at Anathapindika's monastery. Then in the forenoon, the Blessed One, having dressed himself, took the bowl and the robe and entered the city of Savatthi for alms. Now at that time, a fire was burning and an offering was being prepared in the house of the Brahmin Agika Bharadwaja. Agika Bharadwaja. Agi means like you know, Agi means Agni, fire. So many Brahmins, they were fire worshippers those days. And this Bharadwaja also, he used to worship fire. That's why he was called Agika Bharadwaja, the fire worshipper Bharadwaja. And he was doing some kind of ritual, that fire worship during that time. Then the Blessed One, while on his alms round, came to the Brahmin's residence. The Brahman, seeing the Blessed One some way off, said this. And he was, of course, an arrogant Brahman. So he started shouting at Buddha, "Stay there, you shaveling. Stay there, you wretched monk. Stay there, you outcast." Because of the proudness that he is worshipping the fire, and worshipping fire is a superior action, and he is born in a superior family, superior caste, and she is a beggar. So of course, he knew that he was a Kshatriya, but he is a beggar. He is not working on himself. The other Krishika Bharadwaja, Kasi Bharadwaja Sutta also. Sometime back we discussed where that Bharadwaja also, he was proud of his wealth. This Brahmin is proud of his birth and also his his intention of worshipping the fire and looking for spiritual growth, superior spiritual growth, but superiority in the spiritual work. That was the reason for this Agika Bharadwaja's proudness and arrogance. And in the case of Krishi Bharadwaja, Kasi Bharadwaja, Krishi means like the farmer Bharadwaja. It is the wealth and the hard work, sweat, and say with the sweat he is earning his wealth. That kind of physical might and wealth that one can accrue with his physical might, and of course with some hard work and intelligence. So that was the reason for that Krishi Bharadwaja to be proud, and he started insulting Buddha. And of course, he learned a lesson from Buddha. The same way here also, this proud Brahmin Agika Bharadwaja, he was worshipping fire, and he was thinking that fire worshipping is the superior spiritual work that will liberate him. And of course, he has taken birth in a Brahmin's family. And that is one more reason why he was so proud. And he started insulting Buddha as, "You are a shaveling, you are a wretched monk, you are outcast." When he spoke thus, the Blessed One said to the Brahmin, and of course, Buddha's mission is to teach people not to get upset with their prizing or teasing or insult. Buddha wanted to teach this foolish person. So what Buddha said, "Do you know, Brahman, who is an outcast? And what are the conditions that make a person outcast?" You're calling me as an outcast, all right. You know who is an outcast and what are the qualities that make a person outcast. You know that before you talk, you should know what you are talking. You should know the meaning of the words that you're using. So do you know what is the meaning of outcast and what are the causes, what are the conditions that make a person outcast? What are the qualities of an outcast? You know, the Vasala means outcast. You know that way he was. And now he came down. His emotion has reduced, and then he started thinking, yes, I don't know, simply I'm using this. Oh, nonsense. What a nonsense thing that I'm doing. That way he realized it a little bit. And then he said, "No, indeed, Venerable Gautama, I do not know who an outcast is, not the conditions that make an outcast." Because of some practice, and everybody says somebody is outcast, the same thing will imprint in the minds of all these people. And because of that same imprint, they keep saying the same nonsense. The same thing happened in the case of this Agika Bharadwaja. He was not knowing what he is talking, what is the meaning of the words that he is using. Because of some kind of repetitions that had happened in his mind, uh, that blindness, it made him to repeat those words. And now he realized a little bit. He was a little bit shocked also. When emotionally you shout at somebody, and that person, he behaves in a very equanimous mind, with an equanimous mind, without reacting, with some intelligence, then people will be shocked. The same thing happened to this Agika Bharadwaja also. It is good if Venerable Gautama were to explain the Dhamma to me, so that I may know who an outcast is and what are the conditions that make an outcast. Now he developed some kind of humbleness. Now he became, quite receptive in learning from Buddha about the outcast, about the meaning of outcast and the conditions and the qualities of outcast. He is now ready to learn. Then Buddha, of course, with the same authority, with the same equipoise, with the same calmness, he started saying Buddha's what he says. Listen then, Brahman, and pay attention. I will speak. Okay, all right. Now you listen to me and you learn from me in that way. Lord Buddha started explaining about the meaning of outcast, Vasalo, and also the qualities that make a person a Vasalo, an outcast. Yes, Venerable Sir, replied the Brahman. Whosoever is angry, harbors hatred, and is reluctant to speak well of others, discredits the good of others, perverted in views, deceitful, know him as an outcast. See, directly he hit the weakness of this Brahmin, an arrogant and a hateful and also an angry Brahmin. But very anger is the quality of an outcast. It is not the quality of a superior man. You call Brahman as a superior person, you call yourself as superior and Brahman. But the quality of a Brahman, the quality of a superior man is not to vent out anger, highly reactive mind, highly repulsive and reactive mind, without patience, without equanimity, without compassion, without loving kindness, harboring hatred in the heart, and reluctant to speak well of others, discredits the good of others, not to see the good in others, and not to identify the goodness in others, who is reluctant to identify the goodness in others, reluctant to speak well of others' goodness, others' calmness, others' gentleness, others' purity, others' truthfulness. If you don't credit that, if you don't speak well of it, and instead you are showing anger and disgust and hatred towards such things, then such a person is an outcast. So directly he has started hitting this Brahman who was outbursting at Buddha, was shouting at Buddha with anger. So that is not the quality of a Brahman, that is the quality of an outcast. So you should understand that if you come out of this, then only you will come out of this quality of an outcast or vassal. In that way, he has directly hit his anger, hit his uncontrolledness, repulsiveness, this kind of reactiveness of the mind. Not to identify the quality, the good quality in others with equanimity, simply outbursting. That is the quality of an outcast. So that is the first thing you should remember. That way, he has given a jolt to this shouting Brahman. Whosoever in this world kills living beings, once born or twice born, in whom there is no sympathy for living beings, know him as an outcast. Yes, again, the killing, the violent nature, not only violence in your words, not only violence in your behavior and words towards other people, even the violence towards in the form of killing, the form of physical torture. It's like shouting and abusing. All these things are mental torture. So that is definitely that is the quality of an outcast. And what is the next quality of an outcast? Is like physically torturing, physically creating himsa, violence on other beings, whether they are once born. Once born means like the human beings and the mammals, like your animals like sheep or cows or buffaloes. All these things are once born directly as an infant, as a there is no say egg formation inside the womb of the mother. Directly, the being is there. The same species, same body, like human. They're called mammals, right? They feed on the milk of the mother, and they take birth as a miniature same species. But the twice born means like the birds. The birds they give egg first. That is the first birth, and then the eggs will hatch, and the bird will come out of that egg. That is the second birth. So they are called twice born beings. So if when you kill the once born or twice born animals, then you should be considered as an outcast. If there is no sympathy while killing, the mind is full of ignorance, full of rigidness. There is no sympathy in the mind at the time of killing. Then such a being is an outcast being. Such a person is an outcast. Physically harming is the quality of an outcast. Mentally harming by shouting, by screaming, by showing anger, by showing disgust. So these are the two qualities that Buddha is talking about as the qualities of an outcast, a vasalo. Whosoever destroys and besieges villages and hamlets and becomes notorious as an oppressor, know him as an outcast. During those days, of course, even now also sometimes you can see people attacking some households, destroying them, robbing them, creating both physical injury and also destroying, looting their wealth and all. All these are the qualities of the outcast. Forcefully taking away and killing the people or harming the people, looting the people, all these things are the qualities of an outcast. Whosoever having actually incurred a debt runs away when he is pressed to pay, saying, I owe no debt to you, know him as an outcast. Yes, this is again. So he takes a loan or debt from a person, and then when it was asked, then he says, no, I don't owe anything to you. That way he escapes. That kind of, say, not sticking on to the words, cheating, the qualities of cheating, the qualities of lying, the qualities of, not sticking on to the promises. So this kind of qualities also are the qualities of an outcast. In that way, Buddha says to this Brahman, Agika Bharadwaja, whosoever coveting anything kills a person going along the road and grabs whatever that person has, know him as an outcast. Not only destroying the villages, communities, looting the villages, households, even an individuals. Even the individual, if he is alone, trying to say covet something from that person, or kills him or grabs whatever that person has. So that kind of say harming person, individuals also, by looting, by grabbing, by stealing, by harming them or by killing the person, individual person, he too should be considered as an outcast. He who for his own sake or for the sake of others or for the sake of wealth utters lies when questioned as a witness, know him as an outcast. Again, during those days, of course, even now also, many people have to say, especially in the courts, where some judgment is given against a person or for a person, then if you twist the reality, you twist the truth of the situation for the sake of selfishness, for your personal gain, for the sake of your family, for the sake of wealth, if you twist the truth, then such a person is also should be considered as an outcast. Say this truthfulness is very, very important. Higher you grow in truthfulness, keeping up the promise, and being truthful, not being hypocrite, not being covering the truth. So much he will grow spiritually and also in the superiority, inferiority parameters that the world see. If a person hides more, covers more, becomes more and more hypocrite, then he becomes more and more outcast. This is the one very, very powerful indicator. Please see this. Wherever the person has taken birth, in whichever family, whether he is rich or poor or low caste or high caste, men or women, whatever it may be, but if he is not truthful and honest, and he is hypocrite, hiding, covering, for the sake of personal things, out of fear, out of his selfishness, out of say, yeah, many times fear also. Such a person definitely will become more and more inferior. Whosoever by force or with consent associates with the wives of relatives or friends, know him as an outcast. Again, it is hiding and covering and say. So if you, out of consent or with force, if he associates with the wives of relatives or friends, that is kamesu michachara, indulging in sexual misconduct, either by covering, hiding. So these things also will make a person an outcast. So in that way, truth has a very, very powerful role in deciding a person as an inferior or superior person. That's why Buddhas or Bodhisattvas always, they may break other rules, but immediately they used to speak of, they will be there, they used to be very frank, they used to be truthful, they used to be honest in accepting their mistakes, in accepting their say whatever rules that they have broken, whatever harm that they have done to others. They don't cover it, they don't hide it, they don't become hypocrites. That's how the Bodhisattvas, the only quality, only powerful quality is truthfulness. They don't hide, they don't be hypocrite. Many times they used to kill, they used to do, they used to cheat, they used to lie sometimes. Sometimes they used to indulge in sexual misconduct also. But they used to open it up. Frankly, they used to accept their mistake. So in that way, truthfulness, they are highlighting in all these things. Even Buddha is highlighting here, and Bodhisattvas also, they practice this truthfulness in their lives. You can see many of the stories of Bodhisattvas where they killed somebody. They accepted their mistake, they apologized, they have stolen something, accepted and apologized. In some lives, they have cheated, they lied, they have taken intoxicants. They might have done, in one life, he has done some sexual misconduct. He accepted, he apologized. But apologizing, accepting, fulfilling the promises, being truthful, they followed in all the lives. So that's why their minds could grow and they could become enlightened, supremely enlightened, the Bodhisattvas. So in that way, here Buddha is saying that so not indulging in the sexual misconduct is also important. If you indulge in sexual misconduct, then you should be considered as an outcast. That's what he's saying. Whosoever, when questioned about what is good, says what is detrimental and talks in an evasive manner, know him as an outcast. Again, in some in some communities, some selfish wise people, the so-called wise people or spiritual people, they used to give some wrong advices. Sometimes they may give wrong advice. When they are asked to give the good advice, what is good for them, they may give advices which are detrimental, which are not good for them. So such kind of people also should be considered as, again, because of selfishness, they may give such kind of advices. Then such people also should be considered as outcasts. Whosoever, having gone to another's house and partaken of choice food, does not honor that host by offering food when he repays the visit, know him as an outcast. You go to someone else's house and have all the honor and all the good food, all the service, hospitality from them, and when they come to your house, you don't show the same thing. You try to avoid them. That is again selfishness. So that kind of selfishness and untruthfulness, these are the two things that will determine a person as an outcast or as a superior person. Whether he is an inferior or superior person, that is determined by how selfish he is, how hypocrite he is, how, say, untruthful he is. That will determine a person's superiority and inferiority. So in that way, if a person is selfish in not treating properly the person who has treated him properly, then such a person also should be considered as an outcast. Whosoever deceives by uttering lies, a Brahman or an ascetic or any other mendicant, know him as an outcast. Yeah, those who are working for liberation, working for mind purification, cheating them is a great sin because their minds are superior. And if you are cheating them, you are cheating that very purpose of life, that you are cheating yourself. You are going in the opposite direction of the very purpose of your life. If you don't link with that superior purpose of life of mind purification and the mind liberation, then such people only will cheat uh, the uh, the meditators, the renunciates who are working on their mind. That means you are going in the opposite direction. That means you become more and more inferior. If you disrespect the true superior people, then you become more inferior. That is the point. Disrespect or cheat the ascetics, the people, the meditators who are working on their mind, who are purifying their mind. If they are being cheated by you, then you are a greater, say, Vasalo. You will become an inferior person. You will go in the opposite direction of that mind purification. You become more inferior. Whosoever, when a Brahman or a ascetic appears during mealtime, angers him by harsh speech and does not offer him any alms, know him as an outcast. Yeah, even this giving spirit, if you don't have, especially to the people who are working on their mind, purifying their mind, who are meditators, who are recluses, shamanas. So then, if you don't give them at the time of food, when you're eating, if somebody is coming and asking you, you don't offer them, then it shows you are so much say, attachment to of the food. And if you don't even share the food, that too at the time of eating, then you are very wretched. That is one of the most wretched qualities of not share. That's why all good people, wise people say, while eating, if you don't get any person to share the food, at least share the food with some animals, some birds. That kind of mind one should develop. The time of eating, sharing the food with some beings, some animals. If not, just in the mind also, just share the food with your departed relatives or with the needy people in that way you can say, and just put some one morsel of food, a little bit of food, even to the ants or to the birds. That kind of sharing mind one should develop. Then definitely that selfishness, stinginess in the mind will reduce, and that will open up the mind towards purification, towards liberation, and he will not become an outcast. He will become a superior person. He will not become an inferior person. That very sharing nature is also an indication of the superiority. Whosoever in this world, shrouded in ignorance, speaks harsh words or falsehood, expecting to gain something, know him as an outcast. Yeah, because of ignorance, using harsh words and also falsehood, false speech. In the false speech, all these things come. The say uttering lies and then speaking harshly. Both these things come under false speech. Michya vacha, samma vacha, michya. So wrong speech or false speech. The false speech, speaking harshly, speaking falsely, speaking lies, uttering lies. Both these things also, again, out of selfishness. If you do these things out of ignorance, then such a person is also the vasalo, an inferior person, an outcast person. Whosoever debased by his pride, exalts himself, and belittles others, know him as an outcast. When he is always boasting himself and always condemning others, belittling others, boasting oneself, exalting oneself. That is also proudness, arrogance. So that kind of mentality is also the mentality of an outcast. Whosoever is given to anger is miserly, has base desires, and is selfish, deceitful, shameless, and fearless of doing evil things. Know him as an outcast. Yeah, this is very important. He is very miserly, he is very stingy and miserly, not having that sharing quality, of course, that you have seen in the previous say point itself. And in addition to that, he is selfish and deceitful, and moral shamelessness, moral fearlessness. If you do some kind of unwholesome action, there should be some shame from within, and there should be fear from without, from outside. What the other people will say, what the government will say, what the police, they may catch me. That such kind of fear should be there when you are indulging in the immoral actions. And also from within, what a shame to perform this immoral action. It is not, say, uh, suitable for me. It is not the way to develop my mind. That kind of inner shame should be there to indulge in the immoral actions. At the same time, what the other people will say, what the wise people will say, what they may laugh at me, they may criticize me. So that kind of fear also should be there. That kind of fear, that kind of inner shame and the fear from the external things. If that is not there, they are called Hiri and Vattappa in Pali language. If that is not there, Ahiri and Anattappa, then such a person will not progress at all. That moral fear and moral shame, they are the Lokadhamma, but that's what Buddha says. They will protect the people, protect the world. If the people lose this moral shame and moral fear, they become animals, worse than animals. They completely cheat themselves, and the entire community, entire society will be perished, will be destroyed. If there is higher and higher moral shame and moral fear, then there will be more harmony, more happiness, more peace in the society. If there is more and more shamelessness, moral fearlessness, then such society will perish. And of course, the entire society will perish, not just the individual. So in that way, this moral shame, moral fear, Buddha highlights. These things only will make you, say, a moral person. They will make you to follow the precepts, follow meditation, follow the mind development. If you lack this moral shame and moral fear, then you're definitely a vasalo, an outcast. Whosoever revels in the enlightened one, the Buddha, or the people who are working on the principles of the mind liberation, mind purification, or a recluse, or a householder who is working on the mind, who is purifying the mind. If you revise such a person, the enlightened one, or the people who are following the path of enlightened one, that is by developing their mind, purifying their mind, if such people are reviled or insulted by a person, then you should consider such person as an outcast person. So here again, you should understand, should know the importance of mind purification and mind liberation with right view. Again, Buddha is emphasizing here the importance of the mind purification, working on the mind, development of the mind. If you don't respect such people, or if you don't respect who have achieved that mind purification like Buddhas, then you are worse than an animal. You are one wicked person. You are an outcast person. Whosoever, not being an arahant, a consummate one, pretends to be so, is a thief in the whole universe. He is the lowest of outcasts. Some people, again, they consider themselves as arahants, fully enlightened person. They are samas, sambuddhas. Many people, they show off themselves as great spiritual beings. Deep inside, they are simply doing hypocrisy. Deep inside, nothing is there. All the opposite they are doing. Such people, you should consider them as the absolute outcasts. All such hypocrites, you should consider them as the ultimate outcast people. That is greatest cheating. Not by birth is one an outcast, not by birth is one a Brahman, By deed, one becomes an outcast. By deed only, one becomes a Brahman. Amuno Brahmana hoti, kamuno hoti vasalo. So not by birth. So by your jati or by your birth, you won't become a Brahman or an outcast. Only by your deed, your actions, you become an outcast or a Brahman. It's a very, very authoritative declaration by Buddha. What is that? So, na jaccha vasalo hoti, na jaccha hoti brahmana. Kammuna vasala hoti, kammuna hoti brahmana. Na jaccha means not by birth. The person becomes vasala, outcast. Na jaccha hoti brahmana. Not by birth, a person becomes a Brahmin. Kammuna vasala hoti. Only one is through his actions. Only through his actions, whom he respects, what kind of moral actions he does, whether he is indulging in killing or stealing, with wrong intentions, with selfishness, with hypocrisy. If you are indulging in these things, in different immoral actions, then one should consider him as an outcast. So it's not by birth. It's only by the actions of a person you should determine, you should say somebody is inferior or somebody is superior. And the inclination towards liberation. If a person doesn't have inclination towards liberation, then also you can say him as an outcast, not interested in developing the mind, liberating the mind, purifying the mind. Not only stuck in the worldly things, selfish, materialistic things, not working on the purification, the liberation of the mind. Such things only will make a person an outcast or a Brahman, not by their birth. That's what is the summary of this Vasala Sutta. Vasala Sutta. No, by example, I now cite the fact that by birth one is not an outcast. There was an outcast son Sopaka who became known as Matanga. The Matanga attained the highest fame, so difficult to gain. Many were the warriors and Brahmins who went to attend on him. As I was telling you in the beginning of this discourse, this Matanga, though he was born in an outcast family, outcast, say, birth, but later he became a Brahma. Many Kshatriyas, many Brahmins, they used to worship him. So it's not by birth a person becomes noble or superior. It's by one's actions. A person can become a Brahma like this Matanga, though he has taken birth in an outcast family. Mounting the celestial chariot along the passion-free high road, reached the Brahma realm having given up sense desires. This Matanga, he developed his mind, he got jhanas, he developed superior mind. He brought glory to his family, his wife, his family, his community, and the whole world started worshipping him, this Matanga, because he developed his mind, he became a Brahma. His lowly birth did not prevent him from being reborn in the Brahma realm. So again, he takes birth in the Brahma realm. There are Brahmins born in the family of preceptors, kinsmen of high months. Everybody, they started respecting this Matanga. They are often seen committing evil deeds. In this life itself, they are despised. In the next, they are born in the evil state of existence. High birth does not prevent them from falling into a woeful state or from censure. Yes, even the people, though they have taken high birth, so if they don't cultivate their mind, simply they are proud of their high birth. So we are born in the high birth, and our parents, our community, they protect me, and because I've taken birth here. That kind of proudness, or if that kind of foolishness is there, then if they ignore developing the mind, ignore wholesome actions based on the wholesome intentions, the intention of developing the mind, purifying the mind, if that intention is not there, and actions based on that intention is not there, and if you are not progressing spiritually, you are not developing your mind, then whatever you may be the king, you may be a Brahman, you may be a world-class businessman, world-class educated man, all these things will not help you. They will not come to your rescue. It's only developing the mind based on the right intentions of liberating the mind, of becoming the enlightened one, or to achieve enlightenment, to get jhanas, to get absolute enlightenment. So that kind of intentions, if you don't have, and if you don't develop your mind based on those intentions, then whatever may be your superiority in the worldly levels now at this juncture, it will be temporary. You will perish. Sooner or later, you will perish. In this very life or in this very year, you may perish. Or even after the death, you may get one inferior birth, inferior place, you will take birth. So inclination, intention to develop the mind is the key here. To decide, to determine whether you are superior or inferior. It is not your birth, it is not your wealth, it is not your, say, region, religion. All these things are immaterial. So what is the thing that matters here? How much inclined you are to develop purify your mind, and thereby indulging in the right actions, the punya kriyas, becoming more generous, becoming more, say, moral precept oriented, becoming more meditative, becoming respecting the respectables, serving, listening to Dhamma, tightening your view, developing in right view, transferring the merits, performing merits in the name of the departed relatives in the day, and then transferring the merits to the departed relatives. They are also for the wholesome actions, the meritorious actions. In all these meritorious actions, that intention of sharing, intention of giving, intention of purifying, intention of liberating the mind to become enlightened, to become, arahant, or to achieve nibbana. If that kind of intentions are not there, and if you become more and more selfish, more and more proud, more and more, hypocrite, these things will make you an outcast, and the opposite of it, just now I told. So, which are based on the mind purification and mind liberation, they will make you superior. So, this kind of understanding, if you have, then you need not bother about the people saying whether you are Vasala or Brahman. You simply ignore. Some people praise you because of your birth, ignore. Some people tease you because of your birth, simply ignore. So simply work on your mind, purify your mind, then automatically whatever you have to get in this life, you will get, and whatever you have to get in the subsequent lives, that also you will get. Okay. So after listening to this Sagika Bharadwaja became completely, he was tamed, he became completely humble, and he took refuge in Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. And then, of course, later he became an arhant also, maybe, I don't know, it's not there here in this. So in that, just like that, Kasi Bharadwaja, he also becomes arhant. Same way, people by properly learning, that is the power of course, again, the Buddha. He could tame all arrogant people, all proud people also. And of course, again, Kala Niyama. In such an era, people with little bit of ignorance only, they take birth, and after listening to Buddha, they become completely enlightened, and they become arhants also. In that way, this very understanding of right view, this very understanding of the importance of mind purification and mind liberation, becoming less selfish, becoming selfless, becoming open, becoming frank, becoming truthful. So these things are the different actions, the wholesome actions, the meritorious actions like this. So 10 meritorious actions that I always used to tell. These things you start practicing with an intention of purifying and liberating the mind. Then one need not bother about the birth, bother about their monetary status, whether they're men or women, that also they need not bother. Whether they're rich or poor, whether they are, say, Brahmins or Kshatriyas or Vaishyas or Shudras or or this caste or that caste or this country or that country. Nothing you need not bother if you have these right intentions. So that is the summary of this discourse. I think with this, we'll conclude. If you have some questions, you can ask. Then we'll conclude. Any questions?
Namaste, Banteji.
Yes. Wait.
No specific questions on YouTube, Banteji. Thank you.
What else? What else is there?
Everybody is wishing Banteji
Okay.
messages.
Okay. Fine. So we'll conclude with one small chanting. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa bhavatu sabba mangalam rakkantu sabba devata sabba buddhanubhavena sabba dhammanubhavena sabba sanghanubhavena sadaswati bhavantu te. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sadhu, sukhi bhavantu. May all of you be happy, healthy and peaceful. May all beings also be happy. Sukhi rahe.